Curaçao Flag Day event set to light up Port St. Martin. Flood watch issued for St. Martin until Thursday. But first, Winair to get new CEO. This is SXM Daily News for Wednesday, June 28, 2023. With a synopsis of local, national, regional, and international news, I am your anchor, Valerie Van Putten. Welcome and thank you for joining me today. In our first story, St. Martin's national carrier, Winair, recently appointed a new Chief Executive Officer, CEO. This was confirmed by the Honorable Prime Minister Sylvia Jacobs during a recent Council of Ministers press briefing. Johannes Hans van der Velde has been selected by the shareholder representative and will start his 5-year term as the new CEO before the end of the year. The new candidate will replace longtime CEO Mr. Michael Cleaver. SXM Daily News reporter Andrew Dick requested more information about the pick during the live Council of Ministers press briefing last week.
Concerning the managing director for Winair, our national carrier, now we received reports that a Dutch candidate has been selected as the managing director, the next managing director for that company. Does the Council of Ministers or this government have an issue with local aviation professionals taking to the top helm at our companies? Thank you.
Very interesting question. You know that story, they say damned if you do, damned if you don't? I think this is another case. Minister mentioned it just now. You get the outcry, government, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Then you get the outcry, government, you're over-involved. Here is where corporate governance comes to play. Winair is a government-owned company. Yes, a shared government-owned company at that. We do own the majority shares as St. Martin. Since last year, the sitting director CEO was coming to the end of his tenure. The recommendation was to extend. Government did not agree. We said no. Hire anew, give our locals opportunity to apply, etc. A transparent and thorough process was utilized in which, yes, there were some local candidates as well. And I am not going to sit on the seat of the professionals who evaluate those things. We looked at the recommendations, we looked at the evaluations that were made, and the recommendations from the supervisory board, and government took its decision based on what is best for the company at this time. Seeing that a local did not make the top cut, we did request, and we're busy preparing a letter to go out to all government-owned companies to ensure that there is a policy to make it more feasible that persons who show the promise within the company, that they get the opportunity either to be, counterparts or to receive the necessary training. So in the tenure of the incoming CEO, it is being recommended that a local that had scored closer, the highest out of the other locals, then I should say, to be able to have the opportunity to train or get a director position within the company so that they can move forward. I'm saying more than I should because it's unfortunate when people use their platforms to promote their own narratives of whatever they think the public would want to hear. Today for me, tomorrow for you. In another case, they might turn around and say, oh, because it's such and such that gets hired, it's nepotism. So let us please respect processes. We want to grow as a country, then we must learn to adhere to, if you put out a bid or you put out an open ad stating an ad, you have to then take along what comes. And if you're going to reject the best person for the job, you have to have really good reasons to do so. We've taken decisions in the past and put people that we want to put because they're local, and then we turn around and then we have to remove them as well. Are we going to say we're going to leave a local in a position that they're not quite fit for just because they're a local? So with that being said, we have locals all over the world I encourage them to also, who have more experience, who have that helicopter view for the type of job that this requires, I encourage you, when you see those ads, to apply. St. Martin wants to promote our own. And so that letter will be going out, that a clear policy is made to ensure that we can raise up our local persons. But to manage a company is not the same as having 30 years of experience in operations. Let's keep that clear. You need a helicopter view. You need to be able to do things at a strategic level. So get the necessary training. Upgrade yourselves. There are courses galore, and we have them also on our Coursera available. So I encourage that we will set the policies in place. We will encourage, but we cannot change a situation that rolls out the way it does without then having to explain, because you get advice also. You have to request advice also from the Corporate Governance Council, which is a transparent process. So to deviate, you must have very strong reasons. And in this case, we went with what we thought was best for the company at this time.
And suspended Member of Parliament, Mr. Claudius Boncamper, is not amused by the pick and took the Prime Minister to task about her statement about the selection. The Member of Parliament wanted a local to be hired instead of a hire from the Netherlands.
Veneer's new CEO. During last week's press briefing, the reporter Andrew Dick questioned the Prime Minister about the appointment of the CEO of Veneer. And I thought that her response was rather concerning. Let me start off by saying that I agree that when we start a process, we need to complete it. And that at times we might not like the outcome. But I was extremely disappointed, even somewhat comical, when the Prime Minister went off script and said the following things. Because Andrew had a way to reel her in, and he caught her. You need a helicopter view to understand the big picture. And 30 years of experience, operational experience, means nothing. As a local myself, with decades of experience in government, allow me to give you some perspective, Madam Prime Minister. 30 years in the airline in question for the job means you have learned the ins and outs of that company. You know the do's and don'ts of that company. You know what works and what does not work for that company. It means you're a dedicated person to that company, not a fly-by-night. A helicopter view cannot give you that. And it's the innovations, and if it's innovations actually that you want, you use the people with the most knowledge of the company and you bring in experts to support them. You don't hire a foreign CEO. You don't do that. But again, you don't empower either. But this isn't about a helicopter view, Madam Prime Minister. For me, this is about yet another local being denied the opportunity to grow in their own country. This is about another missed opportunity to empower your own. I suggest you listen to Dr. Soma's presentation, which she made last week, 2 weeks ago in Parliament. Listen to it, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. When we learn to do it ourselves, instead of having others come in and do it for us, when we gonna learn? Why can we not accept that we too have people that can do the job? What's so difficult in it? I think your deputy leader was the one screaming about that. You are qualified, isn't it? What happened to that slogan? Right or wrong? Don't get mad with me. You're the one that said these things.
The suspended Member of Parliament also made the following comments this week on the topic of the Dutch.
It will be interesting to see what's really in that budget and how much monies were made available for the repayment of the October due liquidity loans. Because I don't believe it is regulated. And by the Dutch at this point in time, being able to say that Aruba is not going to get a favorable rate in refinancing gave me some hope in the beginning. Hey, we're going to refinance. But it was the same State Secretary Van Hofland, who said, no, we paying, or you're going to have to pay back 70-something million. Now, must I read 2/3 Curacao, 1/3 St. Martin, a 3/4 Curacao, a quarter St. Martin? For St. Martin, it still means about 17 million guilders. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money going into your third quarter of your year already. Your good months have passed. Your bad months coming now for tax, because turnover tax is going to drop. The economy isn't turning as heavy as it is turning now, as it was turning January, February, March, and April. The economy is going to slow down. The slower months, August and September and October, are coming. So where do we plan to generate that money? All the various income streams that were added on for the airline tax and all those things have not materialized. So our previously stated, projected surplus positive budget is not going to be so. We had a surplus on income in March and April, and I was happy for the Minister of Finance that he had a surplus because it gave him a cushion to work with. But as long as we don't get clarity on these liquidity loans, we are in for a serious surprise yet. And that's what's bothering me. That we go back to the same group of people to lend money again, while we could have empowered our own here. I'm going to keep coming back to that word empowerment, because we're not doing it. At least I'll tell you this much. The party I come from, the Now, that is a fundamental something in our party. Empowerment of our own. If we can't take care of our own, then don't ask nobody to take care of them.
Stay tuned. SXM Daily News continues with more right after this.
At SXM, we're taking travel and tourism to new heights. Here we boast spacious check-in areas, 10 passport control points, comfortable departure lounges, and finally, there's an airport in the Caribbean that takes your travel plans as seriously as you do. Princess Juliana International Airport.
During the hurricane season, a potential tropical cyclone can produce rainfall that can cause flash flooding and rockfalls. Stay away from flood-prone areas during heavy rainfall, such as Jump Up Casino on Emma Plain Road in Phillipsburg, ATLH Road Roundabout, L.B. Scott Road from Emilio Wilson Park until Cake House Supermarket, Zaker's Gut from Petro Plus Gas Station until the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Welcalaken Road Cahill from Welcalaken Road Roundabout until the One-Tete Loque Roundabout, Beacon Hill Road from Sunset Bar and Grill until the beginning of White Sands Road, and Rhine Road, also known as Mullet Bay Road, after Sonesto Maho Beach Hotel to the entrance of Cooper Coy from the intersection of the University Drive until the intersection of Rio Grande. For more information on how you can keep yourself and your family safe this hurricane season, visit stmartingolf.org/hurricane. This public service announcement is brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
Mealtime rules. Don't serve yourself first. Do not eat with your mouth open. Don't rest your elbows on the table. Don't make noise when eating. Does not apply when enjoying KFC buckets. When we bucket together, we are as we really are.
Welcome back, viewers. You are watching SXM Daily News, and I am Valerie Van Putten. And as we continue now with more in this edition of the news, in economic-related news, the economic recovery in both Curaçao and St. Martin gained momentum in 2022 with real GDP growth of 7.9% and 9.8% respectively. The growth was primarily driven by increased net foreign demand and positive contributions from domestic demand. The Central Bank of Curaçao and St. Martin made the following report.
in 2021 and 2022, and then slowing down in 2023 and 2024. We also illustrated this with our main trading partners. Real GDP growth in the Netherlands relatively very high, but also in the US, healthy growth, not as abundant as in the Netherlands, and also healthy growth in Latin America and the Caribbean. We present these as the most relevant trading partners. Then the picture is as much determined also by the stubbornly high inflation, and that is the main reason why growth is slowing down. Inflation has been high because food and energy prices picked up very rapidly, together with pent-up demand after the COVID pandemic, and that caused the high inflation in 2022. And it is coming down, but not as fast as we would like to see. So you still see relatively high inflation levels in the USA, in the world, and in the Netherlands, as shown in this picture. Then, continuing this, as a response to this high inflation, central banks around the world raised their interest rates in order to reduce inflation, and as a consequence, the way inflation is reduced is by slowing down demand, and that is causing the economy to grow less fast, and hopefully also to bring down inflation. The Federal Fund, the Federal Reserve, hiked interest rates 7 times in 2022. So at the end of 2022, the interest rate was 4.5%. It's a very steep increase in interest rates, and obviously this will have an impact over time on economic growth and hopefully on inflation. The picture is a little bit different on the supply chain pressures. There were 3 cycles, if you want. In the beginning, there was the severe lockdowns at the start of the pandemic that caused supply chain disruptions. And then slowly, these are actually quite quickly, these supply chain pressure reduced again. But then after, especially in 2021, when the economies in the world globally picked up, but at the same time we still had supply shortages because capacity was brought down by producers as a result of the pandemic. The supply chain pressures were rising again. And then in 2022 we see a sharp blip in April after the war in the Ukraine started. There was again some pressure on the supply chain, but since then, so since mid last year, we see supply chain pressures coming down, and that is in the end good news for inflation, and so hopefully this will translate at some point also in lower prices.
And turning now to other news, as Emancipation Day, July 1st, is approaching, the You Too Can Move Foundation will be organizing a flea market. And to tell us more about this event is one of the organizers, Ms. Rita Pantoflet, who spoke to our news department.
You Too Can Move Foundation organization is organizing a flea market on July the 1st. This is not our first flea market. This is like our 3rd, 4th flea market. But we just give it a twist. Every so often we give it a twist. So it will be July the 1st, Saturday, following Emancipation Day, and it will be at the John Lamini Center from 10 o'clock until 6 o'clock, or I will say until food done, or you feel satisfied and you can leave. It don't have to be food exactly. It could be juices,
as well.
Yes,
right.
Drinks, different jewelry, whatever
So
you
clothes,
want to sell. Yes.
Jewelry, plants,
That's right.
pots, you name it.
Crochet, whatever
Okay.
you feel that you want to sell, you can register. Registration is $30, which includes a table. And we give you the spot. We have 3 spaces, a big hall, a medium hall, and a small hall. So you could say, well, listen, I want to go here. The only thing we ask some vendors is that they send us a flyer so we can send it out, to other persons, because we will not be responsible for advertising the different vendors. So you being a vendor, you make a flyer, you send it to me, you send it out. And I always tell them, listen, my family is big. I think your family and friends could be big. Tell them, come, I can support you.
Now talk to us about the You Too Can Move Foundation. How old is it?
Oh, to be honest, Valerie, I came into the U2 Can Move 2017, and they have been there before because it was by the government building. Tanti Sewer was all over the place. So after Hurricane Irma, person stressed out, my pressure went up, and my doctor said, listen, you have to get in something. While I was doing so much away, but nevertheless, so I decided to join them. So I've been there from 2017 until present, and I like to see people work out, keeping themselves active, keeping themselves healthy, especially as women. And we just come there 4 times a week, Monday to Thursday, 5:30 to 6:30, and we have different instructors. Every instructor do have their own twists. And like I said, I will have to give out shout out to Helianta, Barbie, Jimmy, Minerva, Patsy Pantaflet in the past, Maritza. So I personally will give them thanks, and I know the others will do the same because they really keep us on our toes.
Now let's take a look at our weather report. Available moisture and instability associated with a tropical wave moving through the local region will cause cloudy periods, isolated showers, and possible thunderstorms through the next 24 or so hours. Some of these showers may be heavy and can lead to localized flooding and/or rock slides along hillsides. Residents and visitors are urged to exercise caution, particularly in low-lying and flood-prone areas. Slight to moderate seas are expected through the next few days. Small craft operators and sea bathers should exercise caution. So now let's take a look at our 3-day forecast. And you're watching SXM Daily News. We will have more when the news continues right after this.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to keep in mind to help keep you and your family safe. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, with the peak occurring between mid-August and late October. This hurricane season, be sure to put together a go bag. A disaster supply kit including a flashlight, batteries, cash, first aid and supplies, medications, and copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
At SXM, we're taking travel and tourism to new heights. Here we boast spacious check-in areas, 10 passport control points, comfortable departure lounges, and finally, there's an airport in the Caribbean that takes your travel plans as seriously as you do. Princess Juliana International Airport.
Welcome back, viewers. This is SXM Daily News. And in more weather-related news, Fire Chief and National Disaster Coordinator of the Office of Disaster Management, ODM, Mr. Clive Richardson, is calling on residents, especially motorists, to avoid low-lying areas due to a heavy rainfall flood advisory that is currently in effect. The Meteorological Department of St. Martin, MDS, which can be found at www.meteosxm.com or facebook.com/SXMweather on Tuesday evening, issued a special weather bulletin due to the anticipated passing of a strong tropical wave within the next 24 to 48 hours. MDS expects scattered showers and thunderstorms which are likely to occur from Wednesday through Thursday. Showers may be heavy at times and could lead to localized flooding over sections of the island. Residents and visitors are urged to exercise caution. In the event of heavy rainfall, Please be aware of flash flooding in low-lying areas and rockfalls. Motorists and residents in areas prone to flooding should act and stay away from these areas until the water levels subside. The following areas are prone to flooding: at the Jump Up Casino, Emma Plain number 1, Phillipsburg; the 80 Illich Road, a roundabout; the L.B. Scott Road from Emilio Wilson Park until Cake House Supermarket; Sagers Gut from Petro Plus gas station until the Seventh-day Adventist Church; Welgelechen Road, K-Hill from Welgelechen Road roundabout until the 1 Tete Loke roundabout; Beacon Hill Road from Sunset Bar and Grill until the beginning of White Sands Road; Rhine Road, also known as the Mullet Bay Road, after Sonesta Maho Beach Hotel to the entrance of Coopercoy from the intersection of the University Drive until the intersection of Rio Grande.
You saw the flooding in spots yesterday. Trinidad and Tobago, we had some heavy, serious flooding in Trinidad. Again, some folks that aren't familiar with the area don't quite understand how the tropics work, which is okay. And that's why I'm here to help out and kind of help folks see how the weather impacts us differently across the world, doing the best I can to keep folks safe. And no, I don't believe these are going to develop into a tropical storm or a hurricane, but we don't need a named system, as you well know, across the Caribbean to give us some big problems. Now up here, this is what's left over. Cindy, a little spin back behind it. That's going to lift to the north. My friends in Canada, I'm going to get to that. And we have this tropical wave that's already moved in. We dealt with the flooding yesterday, the higher rain chance. Puerto Rico, some of the rain will be coming our way. I'm going to get into that. And then 3 more tropical waves, which is common, but they're a little bit stronger than usual for June. Again, there's a lot of rain with them, so I'm going to be watching them as they move across. So we've got a few more that are moving in. Right now, the tropical wave has moved in. It's sitting right near the ABC Islands, Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. But what is happening is, I want to point this out, over toward the ABC Islands, as these tropical waves move in, 1, they start to lose some of the moisture, and then 2, some of the moisture kind of feeds a little bit more to the north, or we see it flare up over Venezuela with the daytime heating from the day, even parts of Colombia. So the ABC Islands, we have been missing out on the rain. I'm watching you very carefully. I want you to know that. Hoping we get some rain. Again, the rain chance is not super high, but again, seeing the scattered showers here. Now, this is not an organized system, so what's happening is, like we've had this morning, some of us sunny skies, but later today we may get dumped on. That's just what we had yesterday. Puerto Rico, we're okay now. It's going to be later when we get that better chance of rain, especially by tomorrow. We'll see a much higher chance of rain.
Turning now to other news. A flag to a nation is a powerful symbol, a symbol of who they are and what they strive to be. It is a symbol of identity, a symbol of heritage, and a symbol of culture of a people. Generations have rallied, and generations to come will rally around the flag of a nation and carry a piece of history with them wherever they may roam. As such, Curaçao's Flag Day will be celebrated here on St. Martin on July the 2nd at Port St. Martin. Several iconic music bands from Curaçao, Aruba, and St. Martin are set to perform for the event. Head organizer Idalien Herenveen spoke to SXM Daily News on Wednesday about the dance party.
Yes, well, it's actually not only me. We're a group of 9 people that all from Curaçao, but some of us raised since young in St. Martin. So we came together. We are vriendenkring, and normally we do smaller things, cooking and stuff like that. So we said this year, let's do something big. Let's try something. That's how it started. So we decided, I was like, let's do a party. Let's try to see if we can get a Curaçaoian band here. And then when I went to Buleria, I was like, yeah. Well, Buleria is from Aruba. So I was like, no, I gonna bring something. So, of course, I started thinking, and then I was like, icons. And because in Curaçao, I was also in the entertainment industry. I had my radio show, et cetera, and I still have my contacts. So I contacted Icons, and I asked them, like, are you guys available on the 2nd of July? They were like, Tadi bandera toch? I said, yes. And he was like, let me check my agenda. And he was like, no, I have a space. I said, book it. Book it, because you're coming to St. Martin. A very iconic group, but as you said, nobody is organizing anything for for us, like, because our music is different. Nuestra ritmo combina. We have a different, it's more similar to zouk and stuff. So you don't have a lot of people that wanted to risk it. But I noticed like we have a young generation of Curacao-Lanians, we have an older generation, so we have enough Curacao-Lanians. And when you see it's Carnival period, everybody booking to go Carnival Curacao, or December, everybody going to family. I said no. So there's a good chance to bring it here and let's celebrate it here. So that's how I got to Icons, and then when they were on board, I was like, but we can't have a party with only one band. So they were like, Edie, no, let's combine. And the extra in me, as always, you know, I'm very extra. So they were like, I was like, no, we're going to combine it with gents. I called gents, and I was like, how about St. Martin? They were like, St. Martin? I was like, yeah, St. Martin. Like, we have enough Curacao-Lanians here. They were like, that sounds interested. So they were like, let me get back to you on the date. And they also got back to me on the date, and they were like, hey, we good to go. So what you want to do? I said, okay, I'm booking you too. So that's how we got the combination Icons and Gents.
And that concludes SXM Daily News broadcast for Wednesday, June 28, 2023. Viewers, I am Valerie Van Putten, and on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we do thank you for watching. Bye-bye now.